Chairman.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Chairman, that was a member clutching at straws to try and find a reason to oppose a bill that will substantially improve the integrity of New Zealand's environmental institutions. Mr. Speaker, let me go through and cover each of the 3 points that Megan Woods raised. Here's the big amendment. The big amendment is that the member wants to add to the purpose clause that is to require regular reports on New Zealand's environment, and they want to add the words state of environment. Now, this is as dicky as the only bill we've seen from the Labour Party in 6 years in opposition. Their big measure of which they're going to improve the protection of the environment is to add the words protection of the environment over and over again, as though somehow that will make things better. Adding the word state of the environment is worthless extra words that actually achieves nothing. Now let's come to clause 18. Member mentions it. She says that it undermines the purpose. What she is saying is that somehow, because this bill provides...
Sorry.
He's responding to an interjection.
No, we're not in clause. We're actually in part 1, which is clauses 3 to 5. So we'll just concentrate on that.
Mr. Speaker, there's been a question by the member around the independence of the environment reporting. And what they're saying is because this bill provides for the capacity for the minister to be able to set down regulations in the area of the topics, that undermines the independence of the environmental regime in this bill.
Point of order, Eugenie Sage.
The clause is dealing with the minister setting the topics is in part 2 of the bill, not part 1.
Yeah, well, look, I've just asked the minister to come back to part 1, clauses 3 to 5, and I am listening. So, the Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, in the purpose of the bill, the key issue is that these environmental standards and reports are going to have integrity. And my simple challenge for Eugenie Sage and members of the Labour Party is to read the Statistics Act. Every member of this House would have confidence in the independence of the stats that are produced by a Department of Statistics. And yet they wrote a law, passed a law, voted for a law that lets the Minister of Statistics not have to consult, not have to write regulations, but actually to tell the chief statistician they can't publish a particular stat, yes, just direct them, or that they have to produce some other stat. So my simple challenge for Megan Woods and for Eugenie Sage, if they want to criticise the purpose of this bill and its content, the provisions in it are far more mellow in terms of the roles of minister than what there is in the Statistics Act that they passed and they would accept was independent. The third point that was raised by Megan Woods was this. She would prefer that we had the old style, vague treaty clauses that just refers to the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. The difficulty with that, in fact, I've heard probably the most eloquent speeches by members of the opposition, that vague laws such as those that simply refer to the principles of the treaty actually work better if we have, as we have drafted in this bill, a treaty clause that's quite specific about the way in which that treaty obligation is met. And if Labour is back in the position of referring to vague principles, which was the drafting style back in the 1980s, it shows how far out of touch and how lacking in new ideas they are in writing new law. All of the new statutes that passed by this Parliament now refer to the specific requirements that go with the treaty clause so that it is more specific. Mr. Speaker, I'm actually very proud that we are the government that is implementing a system. Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
I'm very proud that we are a government that is actually putting in place a state of the environment reporting system, a good system that we are going to deal with the fact that we're the only OECD country. And my challenge to members of Labour, where were you for 9 years? Actually, I'll tell you where you were. And the record is very clear that if you want to talk about interference in environmental reporting, I'd ask them to read the history in 2007, when that is exactly what their Minister for the Environment was caught out doing, and that is one of the reasons why we committed to bring this legislation to this House, so that just as in education, where we have open standards of education being reported, just as we are proud of our history in terms of financial reporting with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, we are applying the same principles in this area, and that is why this part of this bill should be supported by members.